What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and it is the anniversary of the original Scream back in '96. And I just wanted to do my due diligence and tell y'all why I love this movie so much, why it's one of my favorites. And you know me, Halloween is my favorite franchise, period, but Scream is like right there, literally right under it. It's been running, like I said, since '96, and it's continued to be good to me. I don't think the Scream franchise has a single bad movie, personally. And it all starts with the OG from the OG himself, Wes Craven. I just love it. I'm gonna start by saying that I'm not gonna say anything groundbreaking that you probably have never heard before. Scream is a cult classic, and it even transcends the horror genre to where people have done video essays and done all kind of breakdowns about the movie. So with all that information out there, it's there. I'm just gonna give my points about why this movie means so much to me and why it shaped me as a person being in the seat that I'm in. You know, I want to direct and write myself, especially in the horror genre, and slashers are my favorite genre, and Scream is a big part of that. Halloween is first, but then Scream is that second wind that really made me love the genre, and just want to talk about why. So, first thing about Scream is I love the bold choice of how the beginning plays out with Drew Barrymore's character, Casey. If you've never seen the movie, playing it for somebody, that specific part immediately sets the tone to let us know that nobody's safe. Because back then, Drew Barrymore was hot as fish grease in the 90s, boy. Like, she was the it girl. So for her to get killed off so quickly and so viciously, that's the part that mostly sets the tone, is because the way it was handled, it was fucking vicious, sadistic, something that we've never seen like that before, right? You know, it starts with that game of cat and mouse, like what's a scary movie, and it seems playful, and then it just slowly escalates into like craziness, you know what I mean? And it just, like I said, the way that it's framed and shot, you know, Wes uses a lot of long takes to kind of build tension as the phone call continues, and that just adds so much tension that, oh, like it's literally chilling, honestly. Like that first little sequence and piece of the movie almost feels like a completely different film, and it just sets you up from there. You know, it starts with her boyfriend Steve getting gutted. You know, the lights cut on, and he's sitting in a chair, and you literally see his guts falling out of him. Like, if that doesn't set the tone and the mood of what you're about to see, I don't know what will. At that moment, you know, like, oh, this shit's real. This is very real. And then it goes on, and Ghostface actually, you know, reveals himself and then ends up killing Casey. And that sequence right there, man, haunted me for a little. Like, when I first saw it, the image was burned in my head. Like, just the idea of, not only did he kill her, but he hung her from a tree. And then the way the camera just speed ramps up to it and stops, so you just see it, and you hear her mom screaming in the background. That is like the worst nightmare. That is like, oh my god, like you understand. Shit. Once that moment goes, you know, we establish ourselves in this, where we're at, we know Woodsboro and Sydney, and we get all these connections and all this other stuff, and like I said, that sets the tone, and you just don't feel safe. Like, you know, if this actress who is, you know, top of the billing list got killed off, nobody in this film is off the table, right? So what I love about the film is, even to this day, when it comes to the whodunit slasher, like who did it, this film did it the best to this, like, still, like, you don't know what's coming, and they set it up so well. You never expect it to be two killers, and the people who it is, you don't expect it even more. And a little fun fact is, I looked it up, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but most of the kills in Scream come from Stu. I always thought it was Billy, just because they paint Billy to look like the crazy guy. Like, he looks fucking crazy. He looks like he's not wrapped tight. Like, you can get that just from the way he looks at Sydney and just the shit that he's saying, you know, telling her to get over her mom being killed. It's just like, you ain't got it right upstairs, you know? But come to find out, Stu was the one catching most of the bodies, and he's the guy, again, that I never suspected to be in, because he just comes off as just this goofy skateboard dude who doesn't care, or even has the intelligence to do that. Or hell, just the nature of him doesn't even seem like he would get that crazy in that level of violence just because of how his character is depicted. So it was a really, really great catch-22 when they revealed that he was one of the killers, right? And the way they weave these things in and out to make certain people look guilty and not guilty, I think is great. I love Randy, and Randy being the sole reason as to why Scream is what it is. You know, this movie, just like I said earlier, transcends horror, and it forever changed not only the slasher genre, but the horror genre, period. Being able to be commentary and kind of even play parody on the genre of horror, but still take itself seriously so it never feels like it's a comedy. I love that, because there's a very fine line with commentary that I feel like a lot of films can't find the best footing with. Like, you want to point out the tropes and the nonsensical things in a movie, but you never want to make it come off as you're poking fun at it, to make it where it's like, oh, this genre is stupid as hell. And luckily Scream never ever does that, because you have Randy being the film aficionado he is, and he's like a film student in a sense, and you know, it carries on to the second one. But the way he speaks about the films, you can tell this is film is life for him, just like it is for a lot of us who are very much so into film. We understand his lingo. Like, if you're a guy in the film, everything Randy says, you're like, I get it. For them to take the tropes and the formula of what horror and slasher movies do and use that as a plot point to try and figure out who's who, fucking brilliant, man. Like, Kevin Williamson, what's that what's that Gunner video, Hot, when he's writing and the flames are just going, like, that's what he did with this film. Like, the dialogue is superb. But back to giving Wes Craven his flowers about it, and rest in peace to the OG, man. The thing about Scream that is also so different is the way that the violence is panned. In a lot of old movies, you know, slasher films specifically, the campiness of the violence makes it not hit as hard. And of course, some of it's purposeful, some of it isn't, some just is over the top for the hell of it. And not saying that Scream was the first one to do it either, because like I said, Halloween did it itself too. But I think Scream took the realism of these kills to another level, and they all feel very personal, very intimate. They're not fun. You're just kind of like, especially because they happen to the way they happen, and then they happen to characters that you actually care about. Like when Tatum died, it was just like, you didn't want that to happen. You spent this whole time with her character, and to see her come to her demise, you don't want to see that. And then the way it happened, like she got her head like crushed, like in one of the worst ways possible. And on the flip side, you have when the principal got killed, like literally stabbed to death. And it's just this great shot of, you know, Ghostface putting a knife to him, and you see the knife in the principal's eye, and you're there with him. And again, the framing of it, it just makes it feel different, because Scream, out of all of the movies, has the least body count of all of them. I feel like from Scream 2 on, the body's just stacked to, you know, crazy levels. Whereas if I think about it, Scream, outside of Stu and Billy, you know, dying, Scream only has about 5 kills, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm 5 or 6, don't quote me on that, but it's not a lot of kills in the film. But it still feels dangerous, because when people do get killed, shit is real. Like when Kenny died, when, like, you know, he's trying to run for his life, and you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's what matters. Yeah. And then let's move on to characterization. Scream has some of the best characterization in any horror film. Like, every main player is there, and you understand their character, and they're all different. Starting with Sydney being the best, possibly the best final girl, you know, next to Laurie, I would say. And you can kind of see the spirit of Laurie in her. You know, she's the good girl next door. She is the one that is the first victim with her mom being killed. She has this sensibility about her that is soft and kind and fearful, because she's understanding what's going on, but she's never a punk ass. And I feel like that's how you write female characters. Not to say I'm a aficionado, but I just see it a lot of times when people write a strong woman lead, they either dumb down everybody around her, or they just make her super duper hard to the point they're not even a real person in a sense. And I feel like you don't have to do that. You can make them well-rounded, and this proves it with Sydney. She doesn't play. She's never ever like just lays down and takes anything she's given, and I really love her, and it carries on throughout the whole franchise. I feel like kind of reinvented it since Laurie, you know, because I always look at Laurie as like she is the one in the genre. And of course you can name others, so I'm not negating anybody else, but I just know Sydney is big as one of the best written characters. You have Gail Weathers, who is a reporter, and you get her instantly. You know, she is literally just hungry for fame. She's hungry for a story. Doesn't give a shit about anybody, and you can just tell how she talks to her cameraman. Like, you know, no remorse for anything. But then as she gets wrapped up into the story, you start to see her change and kind of be like, whoa, this is like, I'm in too deep, and I really need to watch what I'm saying and watch what I'm doing before I put myself in danger. And I just love the characterization of her and Sydney kind of butt heads about it. In the first movie and in the second movie they butt heads. So you see the yin and yang of both of them. You know, she's not taking it seriously until she runs into Ghostface herself, and then she takes it serious. Then Officer Dewey, another great character who is this good guy cop who you know is trying his best, and he just feels like a regular guy. He's not super duper model attractive as a dude. He's not the most skilled. He's not the most articulate. He's just a regular dude. And I think that's why so many people love Dewey, is because of that. He's a regular guy. Then you have Randy, like I mentioned earlier, who's the film aficionado, walking us through this whole thing, telling us what to do and what not to do, stating the rules and saying why you shouldn't do this and why you shouldn't do that. Like, it's perfect for him to be kind of the narrator of the film, and it allows for him to do expositional dumps without him feeling like he's trying too hard, because they presented off bat that he is a movie guy, you know, as the word, they call it cinephile. Like, you understand that about him, so when he talks about these things, it never feels unnecessary. It's just what he does, right? And then you go to Billy and Stu, who are both the killers, who I think they played it so well. Again, oh my god, the characterization, yo. Have another yin and yang. Billy is this mysterious, kind of cool badass that like you could understand why Sydney could overlook the craziness of him and just be swooned by the person that he is. It just makes so much sense that he would be one of the killers. And then to his yang, you have Stu, who, like I said earlier, is the guy who seems like he doesn't care, the guy who seems like he doesn't pay attention to detail or anything. But at the end of the film, when him and Billy are talking to Sydney about the plan, you can definitely see that sharpness of him to be able to pull a lot of stuff off. And he has a lot of comic relief in the film, especially one of my favorite parts when he's talking to Rennie, they're watching Halloween, and he's like,
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
I love that line, but he offers a lot of gravity to the situation, which is, like I said, odd that is the killer. And then you have Sydney's best friend Tatum, who is that fun-loving girl who you can kind of tell she's like a party girl, and she's in the know, she's pretty, you can tell like the boys like her, but she still is, despite all of that surface level stuff, you can tell she actually is Sydney's friend, and she's there for her. So again, that's why it hurt to see her die later on in the movie, because of how she's characterized in the film. I love the orchestral score that goes along with the film. It really builds it, sets the mood as far as the tension, especially when Ghostface shows up and he's chasing people around, and then you hear those big strings playing, you know, and especially that one little part. I don't know what the hell instrument that is, but that whatever, I don't know what that is, but it's pretty spooky, and not spooky, it's eerie, and it sounds strange that you don't like really know what it is, and it kind of plays into Ghostface. And like I say, the Ghostface as a character, as we all know and love, man, one of the things that makes him, I think, so effective, again, just like Dewey, he seems like a regular guy. He doesn't have any super strength. He's bumbling around, falling, tripping, and all that stuff. The same things like a regular guy would do. You know, you can just tell that whoever's under this thing is just a person, and it makes you kind of second guess and question everybody, because he's not the most artful and precise person. He just does stuff, all of that goofy ass movement he does, and some people call him stupid, some people look at it as comedic, but I just look at it as being, if a real guy were to be a killer, this is how he would be. Nobody is like Michael Myers. Nobody's like Jason Voorhees. Nobody's like Leatherface. Nobody is like that, period. Like, it's not It's not a thing. So I just love the realistic nature of Ghostface and how he carries himself and the subtleties in his movement, his running, and how human of a killer he is. And to me, that makes it even more scary, especially with that mask being so regular and his outfit just being so regular. It's a fucking cloak and some boots. You know, it's not anything out of this world that somebody couldn't get. I can go on for days just discussing this film and the sequels that coming on, and I just love this franchise. I hope they keep doing them. Scream 6 comes out next year. They dropped that little teaser in New York, and I am so hyped for that. Literally, right into Halloween. Favorite franchise, man. Hell, Scream might be on the same level as Halloween, because honestly, like I said earlier, Scream doesn't have a bad movie to me. A lot of people harp on Scream 3, but to me, that was their version of just making it a parody. That movie's like literally a parody of the franchise at this point. As long as they can keep strong writing and strong characterization as they have been doing, this franchise can run forever, man, honestly. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Scream? I did a ranking earlier this year, and Scream 1 is still the top dog for me. Don't think it's ever going to be dethroned, but never know. Like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.